So you can fit burgers, you can fit lollies, you can fit chocolate in. If you keep that calorie count below your maintenance, then you're going to lose weight. So that's the whole if it fits your macros. And that's how you can really aim towards having a lifestyle that's balanced in terms of you going out to social events, also you being on the regimen and in control of your health and fitness goal. So for example, 100 calories of a Snickers bar is the same as 100 calories of an apple. So yeah, you can fit a Snickers bar in your diet and you don't have to feel guilty because you're working towards your health and fitness goal. What is up, guys? Welcome to another episode of the Conscious Warrior podcast. On episode 2, we'll be covering topics of keto, vegan, fasting, vegetarian diet. Which one is better? Where to start knowing in how to eat, understanding what macronutrients are. Why is this such a good idea? Knowing how much protein, carbs, and fats you need to eat and how to eat for lifestyle. So let's begin. First question, guys. Keto, vegan, fasting. This is all a trend. Everyone's jumping on the next fad diet, believing that this is the key to longevity, the key to fat loss, the key to muscle building. And it may work to some degree. You may start seeing results initially, but going in with the mindset of, I just want to do this diet because I want to lose weight, because I want to feel good. That's good on the short term, but it's something that you're not going to sustain throughout the long term with that kind of mindset and that kind of approach leaning in towards that diet. The best approach would be to look towards the benefits of what this diet is going to give you. Is it going to give you more energy? Is it going to give you more performance? Is it going to give you more self-control? From my own personal experience, I can't say that I've tried keto. I've done vegetarian. I've carb cycled. I've went on low carbs. I've fasted, if I haven't said that already. And these are all great tools and strategies that I have up my sleeve whenever I want to change my body composition, whenever I want to change the way I feel, whenever I want to change an outcome that I'm trying to reach. If it's fat loss, energy, more mental clarity. I think for me, what works, everything works. It just depending on what the outcome is that you're trying to achieve. Because if you go into it blindly, thinking that I'm just going to go into ketogenic diet because I want to lose weight. I want to just go vegan because I hear so much benefits in going vegan. And to an extent, I think you're going to see some great initial results. Firstly, because it's something that you probably weren't incorporating from the beginning. You probably weren't incorporating enough of that into your diet, right? And that has to show that you may be having gaps in your current lifestyle when jumping onto something completely different. So number one thing is look for what the outcome is. What's the benefits that you're trying to achieve? What's the mindset that you're going in? And last but not least, do you have enough information in really swapping and changing your diet and your lifestyle? I think this is a big one where a lot of people do go wrong and it catches people off guard because, for example, let's say that you go into veganism, that you go straight plant-based because of the information that's been showed widely across all social media platforms that it's the best thing, that we shouldn't be consuming animals. Now, if you go in it blindly, then this can create a lot of deficiencies and it'll probably get you or leave you off a lot more miserable than when you first, in what your previous diet was. For example, there's a lot of deficiencies present in the vegan plant-based diet that you have to look into and really take in these factors when changing into plant-based diet. For example, there's a lot of deficiencies in B12 vitamins that you're not getting enough of B12 vitamins. You're not getting enough iron, which carries oxygen. Oxygen is essential in order for us to, of course, breathe, but just have that livelihood and energy to sustain our day ahead. Also, essential fatty acids, we're not getting enough omega-3, which is EPA and DHA, which is needed to quell inflammation, reduce risk of heart disease, and improve cell brain development. You can get this through supplementation, so this is where you have to be wary and just self-educate when chopping and changing your diet, right? Because otherwise, it's just going to make you crash and burn And if not, you're probably going to gain more weight than you actually started with. So just be patient with it, educate yourself, do a little bit of research in what are the gaps when chopping and changing, because you're never going to get the full benefits of everything. There's just going to be a bit of a trade-off every time you step into something completely different. Another example, if you're on a carnivore diet or if you're just eating more meat in your diet, you have to take in consideration that when you eat too much meat, it creates this low-grade acidosis where the body contains too much acid in the body. So to counter this, you either eat more vegetables to offset acid load or introduce more bicarbonate, which is a salt, which helps neutralize the effect of acid. Where is rich bicarbonate mineral found? It's found in mineral water, right? Great examples would have to be San Pellegrino. I think that one is one of the best examples that you can look into just because it's worldwide. But if you look at the ingredient list of any bicarbonate mineral water, it should contain the elements from the periodic table, such as magnesium, sodium, potassium, right? These are all essentials if you're consuming loads and loads of meat that you want to pay attention towards and just offset the acidity, right? Because by theory, we want to try optimize, alkaline state, but in reality, most of the things that we do is going to contribute towards more acidity, right? When you exercise, it's forming muscle breakdown. When you inhale toxins or pollution living in the city, that's a form of acidity. When you're consuming junk food, comfort food, whatever you want to label that, it's forming more acidity to the body. So your goal and objective is to alkalize the body as much as you can to offset any acid. So then that way you improve your immune function, you improve longevity, and you increase your energy throughout the process. So jumping into the next question, macronutrients. Is this a good idea? I think that macronutrients, well, firstly, macronutrients is basically another word of saying that what your food is broken down into as its main energy source. So a macronutrient is broken down into protein, carbohydrates, and fats. Now, each of these macronutrients contains an energy profile of how much energy in the form of calories or kilojoules. I'm going to go by calories in this podcast. How much calories each macronutrient contains. So you've got protein, 1 gram of protein contains 4 calories. You've got carbohydrates, 1 gram of carbohydrates contain 4 calories. And the more energy dense macronutrient is fats. For 1 gram of fats, you've got 9 calories. So it's more calorie dense compared to the other two. So this was something that's been really popular in the last 5-6 years, maybe a little bit more long, but this is when I first paid attention and started taking notice of the whole, if it fits your macro lifestyle, people saying that you can eat whatever you want as long as you're in a calorie deficit or if you're in maintenance to not gain any weight or actually lose weight, right? So you can fit burgers, you can fit lollies, you can fit chocolate in without, if you keep that calorie count below your maintenance, then you're going to lose weight. So that's the whole, if it fits your macros. So, and that's how you can really aim towards having a lifestyle that's balanced in terms of you going out to social events, also you being on the regimen and in control of your health and fitness goal. So for example, 100 calories of a Snickers bar is the same as 100 calories of an apple. So yeah, you can fit a Snickers bar in your diet and you don't have to feel guilty because you're working towards your health and fitness goal. This is great. Happy days. Woo! We got that balance that we're all trying to aim for, right? A lot of us don't even start our health fitness journey because we say to ourselves that I don't want to make this sacrifice because I love food, because I love chocolate, because I love going out to restaurants with my friends. But this is where the whole premises of is if you educate yourself around macronutrients, if you educate yourself around what foods best serve you to your highest potential in terms of having more energy, achieving your fat loss goal, developing more muscle, developing more strength. When you have that education and knowledge around that, then yes, you can still go out to social events. Yes, you can still dine out in restaurants because you have that inner knowing. You have that knowledge around what is good and what decisions can lean towards what is bad. So the only flawed concept with if it fits your macros is if you adopt this principle all the time. Because calories are not the same as macronutrients. Calories doesn't have the same value as macronutrients. I want to give you an example, right? So let's say, for example, I eat pizza today, and it's about 200 calories per slice. So I have 6 slices, that's 1,200 calories. I think I might grab a 6-inch sub from Subway. That's about, let's say, 600, 800. I'm just going on an estimate here. And I think I'll have a protein bar later throughout the day, which is 200 calories. And then maybe at night, I want to have a late night snack, and I'll grab a bowl of Cheerios with protein powder. And that's 300 calories. So think about that. That's around 2,500 calories. Yeah, you've hit your goal. That might be your goal in maintenance, 2,500 calories. But how are you feeling consuming all of that? You could be feeling bloated as heck. You could be feeling exhausted. Your body may be holding onto a lot of water. Unless you have a really roaring metabolism where your body revs, burns, and churns, then you might get away with it. Especially if you're younger. When you're younger, you can just demolish anything. You can just raid the pantry with chocolate, lollies, and you'll bounce back the next day if you have great genetics, that is, and if you have a roaring metabolism. I had a few friends growing up that they're classified as ectomorphs, so they've got a really skinny frame. So whatever they consume, they could be consuming McDonald's, Hungry Jacks, and they don't gain a kilogram. Gifted, I would say that's lucky, but it's also unlucky in the opposite spectrum. If they want to gain weight and develop muscle, they have to actually eat more food, which can be a curse, because when you go to that point of eating too much, you just feel bloated. You can't achieve that strength or muscle building goal. So backtracking here, this is where that flawed concept of if it fits your macros, that if you don't have the discipline of understanding calories is not the same as macronutrients, that if you go down the route of, okay, I'm always going to gravitate towards the Western diet of just eating these comfort foods, of going towards convenient foods, of going towards takeaway foods, then you're not going to probably feel good on a daily basis. Yes, you might be under your calorie count, but you may not be hitting your protein count. You may not be hitting your fat count, and your calories and your sugar intake could be a little bit too high and elevated, which makes you probably have too many insulin and blood sugar crashes throughout the day, right? So it's this roller coaster of the highs and the lows, which is not a really good place to be at. It's not stable, it's not steady, and you probably would feel more miserable and tired throughout the day. And this is where you would fall onto the couch, right, in a food coma, feeling like, shit, I've been hit by a bus. And then I'm ready to go again, look into the pantry to see what food that's a quick pick-me-up will get me off this feeling of being hit by a bus and actually get me more energy, right? When you're feeling low, what's the first thing you go towards? You go towards food. You go towards something that's going to give you that quick energy hit. And most of the time, that would be labeled as a coffee shot. That would be labeled as quick sugar, lollies. It could be a fruit. That's probably the better choice. That will gravitate towards, because we want that quick energy of carbs, simple sugars, that's going to get us back on our feet. It's not just about quantity, it's about quality. So macronutrients, they're important. It's a matter of understanding that the nutrient density of different types of foods is more quality than going towards convenient foods of eating out at restaurants, eating out at cafes, going towards fast food outlets. Protein, fats, and carbs, when you monitor that, you're going to have more energy. You're going to change the way you look. You're going to change your body composition, because you're being a little bit more meticulous towards what is your daily recommended intake of these macronutrients. And then that falls under micronutrients, which I'll cover on the next episode, which I think is really important as well. And that's where, if it fits your macros, is flawed, because it doesn't take into consideration of the micronutrients, the vitamins, the minerals, the spark plugs in life that really help utilize the foods that you eat and trigger and spark the enzymatic processes of, digestion, absorption, and utilization and optimization of the foods that you consume. So where do I start? How do I understand macronutrients? How do I calculate macronutrients, right? So there's a number of ways or equations which I'm going to share with you guys today. If you're watching the podcast on YouTube, then you're going to see the visuals of how I calculate the macronutrients just on screen. But just go with it, guys. You can research this on your own time. So a couple of equations. It doesn't matter which equation you pick. It's just a matter of understanding where is your maintenance, where is your base. And you're not going to get the exact number for your base. It's more of like a trial and error. It's more of like shoot and see if you hit. What I mean by that is nobody knows the maintenance calories you're at until your weight stabilizes. So we go for a base of what we think is going to be the right number based on our energy levels and our activity levels throughout the day, and based on the metrics of our height, our weight, and our age. The metabolism, it's something very confusing that we don't really have a grasp and understanding of. And it does get influenced by muscle mass, your activity level, your age. And I guess these equations are the best way of understanding where a base would be in terms of maintenance, to not gain weight or lose weight, but to know where you sit just coasting through life. So the first equation you could look into, it's called the Harris-Benedict formula. The Harris-Benedict formula. So first off, you're calculating the basal metabolic rate. So that's your calories at rest with you doing nothing, just breathing and just doing minimal movement throughout the house. Right? Once you calculate this, you calculate it by your total daily energy expenditure. So that's your activity that you do throughout the day. So this is different for everybody. If you're an office worker and just very sedentary, that you don't do much movement, then you would multiply it by a small activity factor, which is 1.2. That's the lowest spectrum. If you're someone that's, let's say, very labor intensive, and you go to the gym, then you'd probably multiply it by a factor of 1.7 or 1.9. So the first equation is the Harris-Benedict formula, and you can see the BMR. You've got standardized numbers here. You got 66.47 plus bracket 13.75 times your weight in kilograms, close bracket, plus 5.003, which is a close bracket, times your height in centimeters, close bracket, minus another standardized number of 6.755 times the age in years. Now this shoots up the basal metabolic rate and you get a number. So I'm just using an example. Let's use John, for example. He's 90 kilos, he's 190 centimeters, and he's 26 years old. If you punch in the details of John, then what you're going to get is the basal metabolic rate of 2,078 calories. That's John's calories at rest because, number one, he's aged, he's young, he's got a roaring metabolism. You know, as we age, everything declines. Muscle mass declines, mineral absorption declines, everything just starts going downhill. let's be honest, right? We're trying to preserve the fountain of youth, of looking very youthful, looking very strong, and how we do this is through diet, lifestyle, and exercise. So John, he's got calories at rest, which is 2,078. Now, John, let's say, for example, he's a tradie, right? He works in carpentry, and he just moves a lot. So I would multiply this by a factor of 1.7. So 1.7 times 2,078, you get 3,535 calories. Boom. That is his maintenance. That is how much calories John has to aim towards to just not gain weight, but just to preserve maintenance, because his energy demands is through the roof. Now you got method number 2, which is called Katch-McArdle formula. This one, you're multiplying it by the lean body mass. So you got, again, standardized numbers. How do you obtain lean body mass? You can do this through a scale to understand what is your body fat percentage. So again, find a scale that will tell you a rough estimate of your body fat percentage, right? And then it's going to give you an idea of how much lean body mass you have, and then you pop it in the equation and you get the BMR. So let's say, for example, John is at 11% body fat. You subtract the lean body mass equation, which is 1 minus 11%, which is 0.11, multiplied by his weight, you get 80.1. Now, if you put the 80.1 into the BMR equation, he gets 2,100 calories. Now, let's compare the two. So the first formula, Harris-Benedict formula, you've got 2,078 calories, right? The Katch-McArdle formula, you got 2,100 calories. Can you see the difference? There's just barely any difference. There's maybe like 21 odd calories compared to 2. You multiply that by the factor of 1.7, total daily energy expenditure, because remember, John is a carpenter, you get 3,570 compared to 3,535. There is not much difference. And the last equation is the Mifflin-St. Jean formula. Hopefully I'm saying it right. So you can look these formulas, guys, and it doesn't matter which one you pick. There's going to be a slight deviation, maybe between 100 to 200 calories. But again, we're just trying to find the estimate here. We're trying to find the base of what is the starting point, and to see what happens after, let's say, 10 to 14 days. Why 10 to 14 days? Because we want to see how our body adjusts to these changes. That if our body is changing in terms of losing weight, if it's losing weight, then we probably underestimated that we can possibly eat more calories throughout the day. That's going to allow us to just maintain. If we're losing, that means we're in a deficit, which is great. If your goal is fat loss, it's great. So doesn't matter which calories you pick which formula that you want to choose, punch in your details, and you've got your calories, your starting block. Boom. That is your calorie intake. Now, macronutrients is another picture that you have to look into. Now, based on research, how much protein, you should always aim towards going for how much protein you should be consuming throughout the day, right? That's because protein is the building blocks of life. It has a high thermogenic effect, which means that your body actually consumes more calories in consuming protein. So you're burning more. Your metabolism is roaring by consuming more protein. It actually helps build muscle, keeps you fuller for longer. So protein is the number one thing that you have to aim towards and understand. And where you start off, or understanding how much grams per kilogram of your body weight you need, is around 1.5 to 2.2 grams per kilogram of your body weight. That's how much protein you should be consuming for the goal of building muscle, losing fat, whatever you want to aim towards. Now, let's say John, for example, is 90 kilos, and we want John to be eating 2 grams, so a higher spectrum, because we want John to build muscle and build strength. So 2 grams per kilo of his body weight. So 90 kilos times 2, 180 grams. Boom. Right? Here, we want to go towards understanding how much calories is 180 grams of protein. Now, remember, 1 gram of protein is 4 calories. So you multiply the 4 by the 180 grams of protein, which equals 720 calories. That is his daily intake of protein. Pretty simple. Again, watch the video, guys. I really encourage you guys to watch the video so you can see the visual representation of what I'm sharing with you guys. And then you subtract that from the total calories. Then the next target you want to do is calculate your fat intake. So this is just basically the leftover calories. So 2,665 multiplied by, again, this is just the metric of how much fat you should be consuming based on just the average. It's around 20 to 35% depending on the individual and depending on the goal. So it shouldn't be no less than 20%, just because fat is essential. There's essential fatty acids that we need that our body can't produce on its own. And fat is really needed for brain development, for brain function, for your organs to function. And if you don't have enough fat, this is where your hormones can get shot, and most likely you may be feeling a little bit on the moody side of things, as well as your body won't be functioning optimally because of not having adequate amount of fat in your diet. So let's just say, for example, John, let's multiply, like John's daily intake is 25%, so 0.25 times 2,665, you get 666 calories. Remember, 1 gram of fat is 9 calories. Divide that by 9, boom, 74 grams of fat. Last but not least, we've got carbohydrates. Now, carbs minus the total, which was before 2,665, minus 666, equals 1,999 calories. 1 gram of carbs is 4 calories. Divide that by 4, boom, 499 grams of carbs. Now, you might be thinking, holy shit, that's a lot of carbs. But remember, the factors to consider, John, he's really active. Number 2, he's really tall. So these are factors where it contributes to John having a roaring metabolism that is really he's really a go-getter in terms of his activity level throughout the day. And now this is the fun part, right? This is where you want to start dieting and just really understanding, okay, this is your maintenance. As I mentioned before, you want to sit here around 10 to 14 days and then just gauge and see what the body does. If it's losing weight, if it's gaining weight, or if it's stabilizing. If it's stabilizing, good. Let's see what happens after 10, 14 days. If it's stable, then we can start peeling off the calories based on what your goal is. If it's fat loss, you want to drop the calorie intake by, let's say, 300 to 500 at the first deficit and do the same process of 10 to 14 days, seeing what happens from there on. On average, it's about 500 calories a day equals to 3,500 calories, right? 3,500 calories. And there's about 1 pound. So 3,500 calories should be 1 pound, which is half a kilo of body fat a week, right? If you're losing that much a week, say let's say 0.5 kilos to 1 kilo of fat a week, great. That's ideally where you want to be. But again, it all depends on the individual. That if you have a lot of weight to lose, that you're starting a fitness journey, if you're losing anywhere between 1 to 2 kilos a week, fantastic. More than that, that's okay. As long as you're not starving yourself, and you feel really good and in control, that you're not going towards hunger strikes, that you're not feeling miserable and tired in the process. I mean, unless you first started the process, that's a bit challenging. But as long as you're not feeling that throughout the journey of your weight loss transformation, then most likely you may be doing something wrong. You may be even starving yourself. You may be even not eating the right macronutrients towards your count, or you're just beating yourself up too fast, too quickly, which also is a stressor. Dieting is a stressor. You have to remember that slow and steady wins the race. That if you diet too hard, that if you restrict your calories too hard, it's causing too much of a stress to your body. It's most likely causing nutrient deficiencies in the body. And it probably stuns your metabolism because your body is not getting the recommended nutrient daily intake that it's supposed to have. So again, where you are right now, embrace the process, trust the process. Because knowing the fact that this is going to take time, that it's going to take a lot of discipline, a lot of control, but you have to realize what the end goal is of when you first started. Is it to feel more confident? Is it to have more energy? Is it to shape your body because it's going to make you feel good? It's going to make you feel sexy. It's going to make you feel so strong. That if you can hold that end result in mind, then that's going to be your motivation that you need. That's going to be your inspiration to be in spirit, to take action, to go after what you want. Motivation is short-lived, that you get motivated generally from an external source, either through the content that we see on social media, either through the things that we watch by someone really pushing it towards their goal. And motivation, if you look at the word motivation, it's motive, having a reason to move. So if you understand what the reason is for you to move, then you're going to always have endless amount of motivation because of the reason why you're doing it, as opposed to seeing the results now. Good things take time, takes sacrifices. It's a trade-off at the end of the day, realizing what the trade-off is and realizing that the trade-off, the short-term sacrifices for the long-term results, is going to be so worth it because you put the time, dedication, the effort, and the discipline to just really change the person you are. So guys, that is the end of the episode. Hope you guys enjoyed it. Stay tuned for the next episode where I'm going to go through towards part 2, the breakdown of micronutrients, vitamins, and how essential they are in terms of assisting digestion, absorption, and optimization for energy performance, and bring you a lot closer to wholeness in achieving your fat loss goal, in achieving your muscle building goal. Because if there's a deficiency in vitamins and minerals, then there may be a deficiency in the nutrients that may be getting you to the point of feeling that you're lacking, that you're deprived of energy, that you're feeling a little bit moody because of the micronutrients. And it's something that's not talked about a lot, which I just want to shed a little bit of light and point you in the right direction of essential minerals and vitamins to look out towards, especially towards brain performance and energy optimization. So tuned in for the next episode, guys. If you found this valuable and feel like a friend could really benefit from this, please like, comment, and share. And I'll catch you guys on the next episode. Peace and much love.